Open your hearts, loosen your butts. It's time for couples therapy.
Yeah, this podcast is Andy and Naomi's, where they can both laugh and hang with all their homies, talking excellent vacationing with brunches and cuddling, to messy situationships and conscious uncoupling, from Netflix hookups to singledom with some Hulu, text, sex, regrets, or feeling on your new jubu. They gon' talk about it, yeah, you are invited, needing therapy, I guarantee, baby, we got it.
It's couples therapy. Couples therapy.
Hi everyone, my name's Andy,
And I'm Naomi.
and we are cohabitating professional comedians,
We're shacked up.
and we are shutted together during the end of times.
This is the civically mandated quarantine edition of Couples Therapy.
We're keeping a respectful distance from our guests and audience and still crossing all the boundaries.
Getting into what you don't talk about in polite company.
It's just like regular couples therapy with all the funny,
10% more self-hate,
50% more panic eating.
and 100% more opinions about chiropractors.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Naomi, that's a new intro. Who does that come to us from?
That comes from our dear friend Scott in Middletown, Connecticut. Love it. I think it really taps into who we are. It shows dedicated listenership. And I said, we got to try it out. That was our first time reading it. I think, we'll just give it another couple tries, but I think there's a lot going on there that works.
Yeah, we're going to keep rotating these. Someone wrote in, by the way, Naomi, they said, I think the reason you're not getting a ton of submissions is because they like the regular. Hi, everyone. My name's Andy. I'm Naomi, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And welcome, and then couples therapy in quarantine.
Yeah. I know
don't
what it
do
is. Yep.
good comics.
You found a way to get it in anyway.
Great friends.
There's something about it that sounds...
Great comics and good friends. What is it?
I don't want to talk about it.
About love, romance, and everything in between.
It's the tone of it that gets to me.
But
Anyway, this is what I
thank
thought.
you to your old mentor. New mentor? Still mentor? What would you call Scotty? Can I call him Scotty?
I think so. I think Gotti's
Mentor.
fun. Yeah, I'd say mentor, lifelong friend, dedicated listener.
Mentor. Different from a minotaur. So, hello, everyone. Welcome. Now we're almost fully into the middle of October.
Whoo, baby. Shocktober's more like it. Am I
Schlocktober.
right?
This is a good month. A lot of stuff has a OCK in it. So, it's
can
a
really
great
make a
rhyming
lot
month.
of- yeah,
it's
it's
a great rhyming
month. I
month.
see.
Great rhyming month.
That's fun.
We're loopy. We just brushed Mabel's teeth for the first
I'm
time.
like looking at her licking the chicken flavored toothpaste. You guys, I couldn't get in the back molars.
How do you do it?
I don't get, like, her mouth is small. Like, when I watch the YouTube videos, they made it look so easy, but I can't, like, lift and get, like, I can't get past her canines. But she likes the toothpaste, so that's not the problem. I just don't know how to get past them canines. I don't know what they be doing. Them YouTube videos, to me, Andy, are trifling. I'm convinced they drug the dogs in YouTube videos. Because the dogs in YouTube videos are too compliant. It's not real.
Here, Rover, come over and have this Ambien.
While I just show people how to cut a dog's toenails effortlessly.
Look,
But
all of you, how many people on YouTube are on drugs? That's what these people are doing these days, Naomi.
These people, these
people-
YouTube teens.
these YouTube kids, they get their Ambien and cocaine, they mix it together.
Ambien and cocaine.
It's called a sleep ball.
But also it just like cancels each other out, so they're just kind of like normal again.
I don't know.
The upper of cocaine with the downer of Ambien. You're back to being you again.
Fucking, I don't know shit
Sleep
about
ball.
drugs. A sleep ball.
What is all this cursing and aggression? Fucking, I don't know shit about drugs. It's like, Jesus.
That was a little
You
aggressive.
came in so hot.
I was a little, I was really playing my gender there.
I don't know what was going on. Whew, my God, I
Anger
had to
and
shake that off.
swearing. Is that not masculinity?
Irony.
Folks.
I know this world is killing you.
Ooh. Wow.
I don't know, I just felt
Did
that.
not really expect you to go to an Elvis Costello moment.
You know what? No one ever does. No one ever does.
Great episode today. Who is our guest, Naomi, on this auspicious episode?
Oh my God, you've already heard her dulcet tones. We are talking to actor and comedian and author Arden Myrin. You know her from the show. She is a wonderful friend. She has performed with Brian Safi, and we just love her to death. You've also maybe seen her on shows like Mad TV, Insatiable, Shameless, or maybe you've heard her podcast about The Bachelor called Will You Accept This Rose? Or right now, special, You can read her book, her memoir, Little Miss Little Compton. Yes, she is from a town called Little Compton, y'all. As you can imagine, the memoir is funny. Full of LOLs. I'm very into it. When we talk about it, you'll hear on the episode I am not like blowing smoke. It really made me feel good. So you should definitely check that out.
I'm going to say, not a lot of really great celebrity bios out there. Auto bios. I'm going to tell you. Arden's, Barry Sonnenfeld. That's it.
Ooh,
that's where it ends.
Good company. I mean, I think both, you've got these cast of characters. So much specificity, so much wackadoo. And it's well written and funny, so of course.
Although I'll say this: in Arden's, does she have a bad thing to say about Penny Marshall?
Not yet. I haven't totally finished.
Barry Sonnenfeld doesn't paint her in the best light.
Dragon Penny. He Dragon Penny.
Sorry, Penny. Up there in heaven, jamming out with Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix and Penny Marshall. My God, that's like a heaven in Bill and Ted 2. We recently watched Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and at one point they get to heaven, and it's a real motley crew up there. It makes no sense.
So, anyway, great episode. Love talking to Arden. By the way, this was, Naomi, as we are doing in quarantine, this was an advice episode. And you know what, listeners? If you would like to call in, obviously we'll take your DMs. Love your DMs. But we love mostly, number one of all, your VMs, voicemails, okay?
Number one of all, we love when you call. Hit us up. What's that number, baby girl?
323-524-7839. One of the only 3 phone numbers I have committed to memory. Naomi's, my parents, and this. Not even my parents' cell numbers, just their landline.
Landline, naturally. Also, you guys, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, we do a Twitch show. It's me and Andy. It's the pod you love with the host you love. Come join the Couples Therapy Quarantine crew. We are just living. We're laughing. We're loving. We now call it group, if that gives you a sense of where we're all at emotionally.
And every week, I do a bit. Like, just last week, I rewrote the Dead Parrot sketch from Monty Python into, I would say I made it better.
Andy, come see the popular sketch, the popular bit,
Uh-huh.
Old sketch, new take.
Right. And then, of course, every week, Naomi hates.
I always got something.
Yeah.
I always got something.
Yeah. So all you have to do is go to twitch.tv/couplestherapypod, 2 p.m. PST every Wednesday. And on Election Day, we're actually going to be doing a special one as part of Liz Winstead's day of let's distract you while you are standing in line at the polls or distract you from your anxiety. So look out for that. That'll be at, 1 p.m. PST?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll put up some promo for that when we have it. But for now, I think that's about it, right, Naomi?
Oh, yeah. Let's get to Arden.
All right. Roll it. Arden, did you know what inspiration you have been to me?
Oh, my God.
No.
I'm throwing this out there. I could have said this before we started recording, but I like
love
putting...
it.
I have a problem with compliments. I have a problem with giving compliments. I can only
love
do them
this.
on recorded media.
On the record.
Yeah. For
I
some
like
reason,
that. Let's make sure this is official.
I feel ashamed for some reason giving compliments. Anyway,
Great.
the point.
I'll close my eyes.
But your freedom on stage, your what's the other word I'm looking for?
Comfort, presentness in her body.
Yes, is an inspiration.
To him.
Aw,
Literally.
that
Yes.
means-
As a robot, as not just a stick up my butt, but many sticks, 30 sticks,
A
bundle of
self-conscious,
sticks.
self-conscious sticks.
That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. It's funny how the glass is always half full, so like the grass is greener, I guess. So like I've always envied somebody that can just stand there and bang out a joke, and that is not. I am a little kitty that got in the champagne bottle and Kitty wants to play, and I appreciate. I guess I like that in my brain, I'm like, why can't you stand still like Nikki Glaser and just tell a joke, So I actually appreciate that somebody would look at that and go, that looks fun and free, like that's maybe a special sauce of mine, and that's a good thing.
Well, as I'm reading the book, I'm telling Andy all these things. I was like, Andy, Arden loved to strip and run around naked as a kid. That's why she's free in her body.
Yeah,
Like,
that
you know what I
does
mean?
track,
Like,
doesn't it?
I was like, from a very early age, she was like, let's get loose in the pelvis.
Yeah, and I can't put on enough
could
clothes.
not- I could not stop stripping as a child. And it's funny. A few gals that who have read it have also said they wanted to be child strippers.
So
Wait, sorry.
child stripper.
Sorry, go
It's
back.
it's different than like the Boom Boom Room and like Sopranos. We're talking like I was in such a small town. They only played like old movies, so it was more like a burlesque, like a feather fan and a sparkly, like it was almost like a showgirl.
A fancy
Yeah,
lady.
like a Gypsy Rose Lee. I wanted to be fancy.
Just so there's no QAnon freaks listening and thinking that this is we're like a comet ping pong type thing. You're talking about when you were a child, you looked up to these burlescos
Yes.
and wanted to be one.
Yes, I looked up to the burlescos, and I was like, because I grew up in this town where women would wear corduroy and wool and turtlenecks, and like the makeup was chapstick, and I would see these old like Busby Berkeley musicals, and the women were so glamorous. They were like 1940s musicals, and I was like, I want to move to New York City. I want to be a cigarette girl at the Rainbow Room. I want to wear like hot pants, and a feather headdress, and like I want to shuffle off to Buffalo, and like. That was the dream. That was like, I want to move into a black and white penthouse and have like a satin robe and have like a lover that's my gardener and like that, just all that. Yeah.
Arden, hold on. That is just like I don't know about for everyone, but I think there's a lot of people where like you learn one fact about them and you're like, everything makes sense. You have 1940s screwball comedy energy.
Yes.
That is the
Thank
energy
you.
that you had. And I'm like, you
Yes.
have bringing up baby energy.
Yes, I wanted to be Judy Holliday. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, I was a dame. I wanted to be like that. And then that's what I wanted to do. Because they were great parts. Or even like The Thin Man with Nick and Nora. I mean, that was the very dated. They would play from decades ago, but as a little kid, you don't know when things are made. You're like, that's adulthood. I was aiming for that. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, that doesn't exist. Like that.
I want to meet Orson Welles in a sewer.
Yes, that's exact. I think you can do it. I believe in you, Andy. You can execute this.
Okay, so, you grew up famously in Little Compton, Rhode Island, and as I read the book, it sounds idyllic, but my main question for you is, do you remember when you first met a black person?
Oh my God, that's such a great question.
Because I know they weren't in Little Compton, and
That's
you
not what I
mentioned.
expected.
Well, because she mentions I bring my friends. I was like, I ain't going to Little Compton. I'm about to get killed in Little Compton.
You know what? It's funny. You actually could go to Little Compton. You could go to Little Compton now. I bet back in the day, you could go to Little Compton now.
Okay.
Because I had friends whose families were black, and they're like, "Can we go?" And I was like, "I think so." And then it turned out Little Compton was totally like my hope. Little Compton was not the weirdos that they could have been.
Okay.
Okay. Let me think.
It wasn't Stars Hollow. It wasn't Gilmore Girls.
No.
It's scrappier. It's a lobsterman town.
It's like Longshoreman.
It's like Longshoreman. Yeah, it's lobstermen, it's fishermen, and then
working class. Salt of the earth.
It's blue collar, and then in the summer, rich people come. But I live there year round, so in the summer, rich people come from like New York or Boston, but there's no stores or restaurants. So like if you want to be a society person, you'd go to like a Hamptons or a Nantucket. Literally, we had 3 restaurants, but 2 burned to the ground. There's one store, it's a general store. There's no 4-way intersections because it was founded in the 1600s, and that's the only place you could serve out like a tavern. There's only alcohol, so everything's a little off.
So that you couldn't have a tavern.
So you couldn't sell alcohol.
So you couldn't
have a tavern. So,
wait, hold on. In the 1600s, sorry.
The town was founded in the 1600s. It was founded before the country was founded.
Right.
It's like Plymouth Rock. It's like a Plymouth Rock situation.
So it was founded by like the freaks that got kicked out of other countries.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I think about America. I'm like, why is everything so fucked up? I'm like, oh, right. It was founded. I mean,
so many things.
Yes.
But
there's a lot of reasons. But like the the colonial settler people that came over to like murder were the shitheads that got kicked out of every other country because they didn't want them in England or wherever. Because they're like, these people are too fucking crazy for England. Get them the fuck across the pond.
Well, Little Compton was a town in England. There is a Little Compton, England.
Oh my God!
So I believe that whoever got kicked out of Little Compton, England, the whack job that like whatever they did over there got thrown on a boat, came over, and they're like, now we got another Little Compton in the 1600s, and it looks exactly the same.
Wow.
Also, I want to say that like the settler colonial people that came over here had the same weird psychological energy that I had as a kid when I moved houses. My parents, when I was 14, we moved houses, and I made my room in the new house look exactly the same.
That's right.
Furniture was in the same place. I said I have to have the same rug.
Oh God!
The shades have to be the same.
I love
That's weird. I had the choice. I could have done anything. I could have like changed the layout of the room. The posters.
How far did you move? Was this like a 1 block situation? This isn't like town to town. Was this like a new school zone? Same
5 minutes away. 5 minutes away.
Same school zone, same kids. You just didn't feel safe in the new house. You know what? You couldn't compliment me without me closing my eyes on a Zoom call, and I know that about you, and now I know he likes his bumper lane in the when he's going bowling. He needs to know where he's driving in advance, what the turns are.
Yes.
And I understand that, and I want him to feel safe, and I don't. So I'll tell you everything I'm going to say, but I'll do the entire podcast beforehand. I'll rehearse it. To answer your initial question, I believe, like looking back, it was very white. Obviously, it's white. There's a lot of the Portuguese. A lot of the fishermen are Portuguese. Like that's the main part of the town is like Portuguese and Italian. And then there was like 2 kids that were adopted from Korea. That I always felt badly for, you know what I mean? Like it was like at least they were like brother and sister, like, but I always at least they had siblings. But I always felt badly that like it was like so exciting. And then I'm gonna say 5th grade I switched schools, and that was probably my first known black friend, Lyle Silva.
Oh well, that's early. 5th grade's early. I thought it wasn't gonna be till you got to like Chicago.
No.
It wasn't gonna
but
be.
There wasn't like crowds of people. Poor Lyle. Lyle was solo for a while, and then in like 8th grade, another gentleman arrived, and then in high school there was a few. Like it was not the most diverse. I'm not gonna lie to you and try to make myself seem cooler than I am.
I'm just proud of you for getting out. You don't have to ever feel bad. I'm like, I just like am obsessed with it because it's it's like a distinctly white experience to be able to live in a space where everyone looks like you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like from the beginning.
That's
so I'm
part
very
of the
like
invisible knapsack.
Invisible knapsack.
That's part of the invisible
correct.
knapsack. You
And
can
so
be
I'm
in space. You can be in white spaces if you choose.
Exactly. So I'm very like, you would. The fact is, I can ask you that question and you probably would have an answer because there is a delineation. And so I just find it very interesting because I was a city kid, so I'm always like very. To me, it sounds idyllic, and I kind of romanticize like a small town. But I also
the right one.
don't.
Yeah, you'd have to pick the right one.
I keep telling Naomi that we're here. We're like basically Los Feliz, and she like, oh, what if we like move to like Studio City? I'm like, Naomi, we are on the edge of the suburban experience that you would accept.
That's
right. No, I get that. I will tell you this. Look. I don't know. Maybe Little Compton would be weird. I'll tell you this. I brought Brian Safi there last year.
We love friend of the show.
Love Brian Safi, and he had on like little short shorts, and he had on a wham shirt, and he goes. Yeah. So we arrived. The coffee shop is in this tiny barn in an apple orchard, and he goes, "Can I?" He goes, "I probably shouldn't." I was like, and I was like, Brian, nobody cares. Like nobody, and like truly nobody. Nobody cares. Like I think now. I don't know. Nobody seemed to bat an eye at Brian in a wham shirt and short shorts. And yet, who knows about like the older salty dogs? Like who knows what the older? I can't vouch for the older salty dogs, but I think it's mostly like everybody kind of. There's no mayor. No one's in charge. There's like everybody.
What?
It's very lawless.
It's very lawless. Nobody's in charge, but I think it's just like if you kind of leave each other alone and you get to go home and drink at 5 o'clock. It's very live and let live. You might you might enjoy a weekend there, but you might not. You might be like, Arden,
Yeah.
you misjudged, you overestimated everybody's chill power. This is way too white. Get me out of here. And you would not be mistaken if that's how you felt.
Naomi, when we 4 years ago, we went to a bed and breakfast. Well, this is when we lived in New York. We went down to New Hope, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I'm assuming that Lil Compton.
Lil.
Yeah.
Lil Compton
The littlest of Comptons.
is in I think is in some way like a New Hope from the description you guys. are
But
giving.
with even less of a main street.
There's
New
not a main
Hope,
street.
there was like some
But I'm
action.
saying, would
But
you
yes,
enjoy?
that energy,
Would
that
you
energy.
enjoy living in New Hope?
Living there, no, but visiting, yes,
Great.
right?
So
like,
that
it's
is the-
pretty as
again.
hell.
People
Okay.
keep asking me like, "Oh, is it like Schitt's Creek?" And I'm like, "Kind of," but Schitt's Creek is big enough to have a motel. Like Schitt's Creek has a block. There's a
Yeah.
block in Schitt's Creek, so it's kind of bigger. You know,
Yeah.
Schitt's Creek might be kind of bigger. There's
wait.
more land here. It's more. It looks like Ireland.
Okay.
Wait, I want to go back to the 1600s for a second.
Yes, sir. Please.
Because so there was a law that if there was a crossroads, you could
Yeah.
build a tavern, and
Yeah.
no one wanted a tavern.
I think that whoever got kicked out of England, whoever got kicked
they
out
were
of Little
sober.
Compton,
They were now
England,
sober. They were starting fresh.
They were teetotalers. They were teetotalers.
Yeah.
They were early adopters of the big book, and they were like, oh, no. And so that's why there's no stoplights. Like, it's just, and yet it's such a funny town. Like, it was also the site of the third largest drug bust in the history of the United States in the 80s there. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Andy, you got to read it.
You gotta
So
read it. It's
many
all in the book,
characters.
you guys. It's in
So
the.
many characters.
It's so crazy that we had no police. We had no police like building. There was no office. There was no.
Right.
They used to tie criminals to chairs and stuff, and then it was like the site of like the third largest drug bust in the history of the United States, which is in the book. And so then they got at the time there was like a drug forfeiture law where you got a percentage of the street value of the drugs,
Which
went
I thought was, I was like, Andy, I was like, ugh, the police, abolish the police. Keep going.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is. So then they got all this money, but there's no crime. Like we didn't even own a key to my house, and so the cops then armed themselves with
Right.
right. So they have like
course, it's
they have like night vision goggles, and they had like they got there was like a T-top car that they seized, like I don't know, like a Firebird or a Camaro or whatever. So that became like a cop car. They got like a yacht that was part of the drug trafficking.
Can you imagine?
So they got all this stuff, and they built this elaborate center. But now you have to drive under the speed limit. You can't go a mile over.
Because they're really ready. They need something to
They
do
ready.
with all
They're
their
ready.
toys.
They've got their toys. They have their toys and they're ready. I'm
that there
scared of
is-
what I'm afraid of them reading. I feel like I've poked the honey hive with them reading the book that I'll never. I think I'll have to never operate a vehicle there again. That I'll just get pulled over immediately.
You
Probably.
think they'll yell at you. But I mean, you're not saying anything that's not in like the public domain.
No.
About them
there's
getting
articles
money?
about- No, it was
Yeah.
on Entertainment Tonight. But I think sometimes people are like, oh, you make fun of me. You know what I mean? I think there's a little bit like, would you sleep with my cousin? Is that vibe in a small town? Oh, okay. Well, you think you're better than me? Okay, Holly. You don't want.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this town. This town was so nice to me. It's not, but you just hope people aren't like, what?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
I
that.
think you should say that. I think if someone's like, "You think you're better than me?" You're like, "Yeah, I do actually."
I do.
Have you seen Insatiable? And then
Have you
you
seen
just drive
Insatiable?
off. And then you drive
Yeah,
off.
excuse
you know?
me. Yeah. I'm Regina St. Clair. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're going to be answering people's relationship questions, so we like to kind of let our listener know where you're at, and
Yeah.
one of the things I also want to ask you, famously, JJ and Willie, your parents,
Yes.
married on a dare, a lark,
Yeah.
a true
They were not-
magical.
They were not dating. They were coworkers trying to get extra vacation time. And if you went on a honeymoon, you got an extra 2 weeks. And the dare came about. They were like, Willie said to JJ, why don't we get married? I'll take you to South America for 4 weeks, then we can come back and get it annulled. And then she agreed, but then she upped the ante and said, I'll do it, but I don't want to get it annulled. And then
Which is wild.
Were they
Which
carnies?
is-
Is that where they were? The
carnies.
carnival?
They were carnies. They was in New York City, and then they stayed married for 50 years, having never gone on one date before, and then they moved to this tiny town to have kids.
But now here's my question about it.
It's like, hold on. It's like that Mr. Show sketch where Bob and David are like, they keep daring each other to do stuff, and then they get married, and then they grow old together.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's like it's like a game of chicken.
But like, it sounds like, again, I'm in the middle, so no spoilers. But it does sound like you grew up where they weren't, like, you didn't grow up with a lot of like parental affection, meaning seeing them have affection and stuff.
No,
like they weren't romantic. It was like
Oh.
we agreed to this. We're gonna sink in, but like
We signed a contract.
kind of
We're
like that's
not
what it just
breaking it.
feels like. So
No,
like,
when I learned that I never could add up how, and again, when you're a little kid, you're like, oh, that's a couple. Or whether your parents are married or divorced, you're like, at some point in time, they had some kind of a relationship. Even if it was like a one night stand, they were attracted for a night or whatever. This, I was like, what? It was like, my mom was this dynamo. It was like me and my brother and my mom. And then there was like the dude in the den. And I couldn't figure it out. And then when my brother, who was older than me, came home from college with a girlfriend, and she was like, Janet, how'd you and Willie meet? And then that's when I was like 14 years old. And when I heard about the dare, I was like, oh, okay. That makes, like, that adds it up,
Right.
So no, they were not. So my roadmap was really, I had to really educate myself about, I did not know how to have a relationship. And I feel that I do now, and I worked really hard. Everything was me asking questions, looking at what I like, take this, that, I don't like that, and like, because I did not have a good roadmap.
Were they affectionate at all?
No. Oh, no.
Did you ever watch them? Did you see them smooch?
No. Oh, God,
No,
no.
not even a smooch?
No. She would, like, tickle his back, and because he loved it, and he'd be, like, back in like a sheepdog, and be like, which was disgusting to see, but yeah, no, she would tickle his back or his feet, his disgusting feet. His cracked little short, wide, disgusting feet.
I'm imagining a hobbit.
Yeah, you know, like Hobbit. It was like Bilbo Baggins getting like a foot rub. It's not by like a adorable, like, cutie pie. Yeah, I picture like Julie Bowen tickling Bilbo Baggins' feet.
Bowen and Baggins.
Bowen and Baggins. I love that spinoff. That's going to be on Peacock next fall.
Fuck it, might as well. I mean,
yeah. Why not?
Wait, so what is like your relationship history then? Like a lot of.
I dated some dickheads. It was either I would really pick the worst man in the room, and I definitely would date, and I talk about this in the book. There are no fixer-uppers. So it was somebody that was nice to me, that was kind of a dickhead to my friends. And then I was like, and then so like, but there was almost a thrill that was like, but they like me. Like, you guys don't get it. And then eventually, of course, it turns on they don't like you either. But you're like, well, what about those first 3 months where you liked me? Like that. I had like a real terror of having somebody. Worry that if they got to know me at a party, that I seemed sort of fun and light, but that maybe, because my dad was real verbally nasty, so like this worry that maybe like if you actually got to know me, you would be disappointed that like I was too fucked up to love. And then so I really did some, like, coming out to California was not my choice. I moved out for a job, but the beauty of it was all of a sudden I was 3,000 miles away, and I started to be like, wait a minute, maybe I'm not so bad. And I went to therapy and I did some like group stuff, and was like, oh, maybe I'm not actually.
LA helped you improve your self-esteem? Wow, Arden, wow, that's the book.
After it flushed it in the toilet, after it was like, yeah, everything we're casting you for, like all your fun quirks, just dull that down. You know what I mean? and then I realized like, well, that's not gonna work. So like there was a moment in time where, you get cast for being different, and then I would try to like be like, okay, I'm gonna try to Julie Bowen, like, what is Julie Bowen, like that kind of, let me just be like my voice less high and be more smooth, and like, and then it was like, well, fine, I'm not that, so I'm never gonna be that. So it definitely was getting to first like myself more, and then So I would have like quick, I would have, if there was like sexpiration dates. So if I was like on a trip and I was like, I could have a fun fling for like a week in New York, or if somebody's in town, I could have like a fun, like I'd made out with everybody. I'd never slept around that much because I was so afraid of getting diseases.
Yes.
But and then I met this nice guy who liked me, which was terrifying. I mean, it was actually the most unappealing thing in the world to find this nice guy that liked me, that was handsome and showing up, and it was like, whoa, that's not like, I didn't know what to do with that, and I just had to keep showing up, and I would try to only see him like twice a week. So to give him.
So
the
you didn't get attached.
Yeah,
so
and
you didn't get attached.
so I wouldn't run away because I was more like, and just to try to give him to not have him be every guy I ever dated in my brain. And I also like didn't trauma bond with him, so I didn't tell him all about my bad dad or the guys I dated. I didn't know what to talk about, so I would go to like movies and exhibits. So I just talk about, like, I literally didn't know what to talk about if I wasn't bonding about like how terrible I thought I was. And so like I slowly did it all differently, and like we've been together really, like, I'm happily married. And
You are?
oh, I never talk about him.
Yeah, where
because
do you keep him? Because you're out in these streets loving life.
I'm on these streets living like, he's quiet and shy, and it's like part of it is also protecting that of like in the same way he's similar to Andy in that he likes to know where he's going when he's driving. He's not chaos. Like he would probably have redone his room the same. Like, I understand that. And so like I feel like, as you know, Naomi, like if you're kind of like a razzly gal and like there's this sort of steady Eddie that was like, I don't want to
Razzly
make
gal and steady Eddie. I love it.
I didn't want to make him a bit. I didn't want to make him a joke. I didn't want.
Oh,
he
well,
wasn't
I've done
there.
that. I've
But
done
you
that
guys
to
are so
Andrew.
cute together. But you guys are both comedians, and it's so cute. It's like, this guy's quiet. It's like, so I just, he gives me. My friend says I'm the kite. I'm the kite. He's the string, and like, and he like lets me do my thing, and he's never given me a hard time. And I'm like, I'm going to Atlanta for 6 months to shoot Insatiable. It's never like, what? It's like, have fun, So for that. I try to like be respectful and just leave him alone.
That's so
publicly.
nice. And he's not in the biz. He's just like a regular guy.
He's a writer, and he works for G4, and like, so he's in the biz enough to get it.
Yeah.
But not so in the biz that he has headshots.
Right. Wait, what allowed you, like, what gave you the ability to finally date someone like that as opposed to the monsters, ? I don't know what word to use, but let's go with the monsters before him.
I was able to say, and I do talk about this in the book, like, I realized the common denominator was me. I realized that, and I knew that given the choice, my body would probably pick the worst dude that was going to hit on my friends, or like, I would be paying their rent, or I would be like, all, things like that. And it wasn't working for me. It was like a whole thing of that, and also what we were talking about earlier of like trying to like blend like every part of my life was. I think the mid-20s for women is hard. I don't know, like, I think 23 to 27, personally, a lot of women I know, I think it's hard because I think you think in your life, like, you're supposed to be it's your 20s, like, you're supposed to be having the best time, you're supposed to be free, and I think there's a little bit of, like, wait, who am I now, and what do I want, and, like, some of your old friends aren't growing at the same rate, and you're like, who am I hanging out with? Like, I think it can be lonely. And so I didn't date for a year. I really was just not happy. And I put myself back together in sort of all areas. And I was willing to try dating some nicer guys. So at first I was like, ugh, and then this guy showed up, and he looked like every guy that had screwed me over. I was very mistrust. I was like, where's the secret headshot? Like, what's the deal? But he was nice, and I just wanted to cut and run. Like, he was available. Like, I knew what to do when I knew how to be a cheerleader for somebody else. Like, no, Brian, nobody believes in you like me. You will have that clothing company or whatever. You're gonna be a great comic. I know it. But like when there are no fixer-uppers and you're not getting somebody to like you because of how much you can cheer them on, like just leaving somebody alone, it was eye-opening to see that maybe I was enough if I wasn't like paying somebody's rent or like cheering somebody on. And by the way, it's not even like I was rich and paying somebody's rent. Like I was just like, no, I'll put that on my card. Like, I got it. Don't worry about it. I know you're having a hard time and you can't get any more credit lines. I'll take on that debt. It's not like I was like loaded.
No, this is very Janet of you. This is very Janet because Willie was sitting around and Janet was out here working.
That's exactly right. That's right. Willie never worked, and JJ, like, he had enough money to cover himself, and then my mom worked to pay for me, her, and my brother.
That's like wild, especially early on when they like met and stuff, because wasn't that the whole reason, for instance, why women stayed with men back then? Because usually they were like, he provides and whereas like,
I know. I think she liked to work, and I think she thought he was rich because he had a housekeeper once a week. He had a studio apartment. When she met him, he had a studio apartment, but he had a housekeeper come once a week. And she grew up in such a house where, like, you scrub your own freaking toilet. So the fact that he had somebody come once a week and clean his studio apartment, she was like, this. I think she thought he was rich. And, like, and so... And I think she thought he was fun. I think it was sort of like the fun bad boy, like the mystery of, for whatever reason, we've all been there, where like the apple of your, like those guys I was talking about, where all your friends are like, wait, what? And you're like, no, you just don't get it. You don't see him like I see it. Tristan's different alone.
He's gonna be a fashion impresario.
He's gonna be the next Giorgio Armani. You just gotta wait. He's going to wear pantaloons, and everybody's going to see it for what it is. His streetwear.
He's making casual tuxedos.
He's making streetwear tuxedos. You just don't get it. Yeah. It's a hard thing to break the cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys date night? Because you seem very happy. Like, did you date some stinkers before?
I did. I had a lot of stinkers. I mean, that's like why I know what you mean, because Andy was definitely someone I dated because I was like, you know what? Let me do something different. I was in a point in my life where I was kind of learning my way isn't working. Yeah. Maybe I don't know what is good for me, so why don't I try this person? Right. And definitely, like that's all I say is like, I would have never thought this would have been my life partner. Do you know what I mean? Like when we got together, it was very much an experiment for me in terms of like letting someone in. Well, no. Okay, think about it, Andy. Also, Andy, he's so open now, but early on, honey, this man made you work for it. Meaning, I knew he was a nice guy, but he was very repressed, and so it was very internal. So I also had to kind of trust, like, you know, I remember like I would see him out at UCB stuff, and he would just be like, hey, like before we were dating, where I'm like, we would like G-chat all the time.
A head nod and a hey.
And a hey.
I met my husband at IO. He would come see my shows. I performed with his roommate.
Oh, well, he would come see it. Well, that's good because you established the power dynamic. You established the power dynamic wherein you were the star. And that's crucial.
Thank you. Did you guys meet in L.A. or New York?
New York.
How many years ago?
Over 10.
Yeah.
Over
11 years ago.
What did you want to run? Did you want to run was it scary to have a nice guy show up for you, Naomi? Were you like, ooh, this is scary?
Oh, yeah, I was doing a lot of pushing away, right? Like, we always say, how did we get through our first year? The drama.
That's the thing to me. It's the first year. It's the first year of not cutting and running.
Yeah.
And I remember being when I hit the 1 year mark, being so exhausted and being like, I did it. And then realizing like that I hadn't ruined it. I hadn't run away. I hadn't acted out. I hadn't cut and run. Like this, I let this nice person show up for me. I didn't sabotage it. And I certainly wanted to.
Right.
And, but I was starting to like trust him more and more. I was kind of like, all right, maybe you're not going to fuck me over. And then I remember at the year mark being so exhausted and then realizing I had to just continue behaving well. Like I remember like, oh, fuck, this is so tiring.
Wait, did you think were you faking it? Not faking it, of course. You're in the relationship. Like, did you feel like you weren't being yourself? You were hiding, quote unquote, like the wild child.
No, I felt like the inner saboteur in me that was very mistrustful, who'd been raised by Willie, who had told her horrible things about herself and wanted to just protect myself, kept wanting to press the eject button. So it wasn't that I was hiding the wild child, but I was like, I would want to cancel before each date But then when I would show up, I would have a nice time, and I felt like very calmed around him. But then in between, my head would work me into a frenzy and be like, I can't go out with him. His pants are pulled too high. His shoes are stupid. Like, whatever. It's like, by the way, he's a very handsome, well-dressed man, but whatever. It was like, I pictured like a 5-year-old with an eye patch and a sword. Like, I don't like his hands. He's a man. He's got brown hair. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, it's like, because he was like not going anywhere, and I'd never been not fucked over, and he was like, I like you. It was terrifying.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that really? So I don't think we've ever. I know that like how you behaved in the first like year or so, but was that the? Because there was a lot of like pushing away. Was that the same kind of like?
It was
origin?
me. It was me testing you. Definitely. I remember my therapist. I remember him at the time being like, "Don't test him." Specifically about Andy. Like, don't do that thing where you push him away to see how far you can push him.
Yeah.
And he'll still come back. And I remember really early on, kind of what you said about like a steady Eddie, which I love, of course. I remember one time you and I were like walking in Brooklyn, and it was some fight. I forget what it was, but I got mad, right? And I like turned and walked away. And you stood where you were. And you were like, and it was one of those where I was like, oh, he's not going to play this game. Andrew was not going to follow me down the street. He was not going to run after me.
Did you love that?
Well, it takes the wind out of your sails, right? Because I'm like, I want to see if he's going to run after me, and then he won't. So then I got to like fucking turn around and come back, but still show I'm mad. But he was he was literally like, I'm not going to follow you, so if you need to go, you need to go. Now, I remember thinking, considering how much you love me now and how sensitive I know you are, were you really like, fuck it, I'm not following her, or were you trying to project I'm a tough man?
Oh, definitely not the latter. It was, I think that it was just like, I'm not going to play. I'm trying to really think back. That's why I'm like kind of like stuttering.
Yeah.
Like, because I picture it was Manhattan, by the way. It was
really?
like,
Yes.
It was, because I know exactly where it was like in between two of the Avs. It was like on a street in between two.
Like a 23rd action? Little UCB 23rd between 7th and 8th?
Yes, thank you.
knows?
Thank you. Near Dallas BBQ. Thank you.
Dallas BBQ.
Thank you. I will have that blue drink and that cornbread. Thank you. Thank you.
God. That's
I
where a
loved it.
lot of fights happen. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Dallas
yeah.
BBQ.
I've also been to the 72nd Street Dallas BBQ late
Yes,
night.
girl.
I have been, but
Yes.
you think I have not logged in my Dallas BBQ time? Yes, thank you. Thank you. That blue light, the blue light in there. Everybody looks great in that blue lighting.
BBQ blue, baby. BBQ
Yeah,
blue.
BBQ blue, BBQ. Put that BBQ in my BB.
I'll tell you what, actually, I think I was stymied. I'm like, I just put myself back into the
I love it. You
emotional
travel back in
space.
time. You've already been to the 1600s.
yes.
Now you're 10 years ago.
I'm Kitty Pryde in Days of Future Past. I am projecting my brain back into my body 10 years ago.
Yes, honey.
And I think I was just stymied by it, and I was like, I probably in my head, honestly, I was like debating like what to do, and I'm like, I don't like. I know I'm not gonna follow her. Probably was like one of the things. So what do I do? Do I just go? That seems weird. It seemed weird to have an argument on the street. Like I'm like, this was high drama. Like I've been in relationships.
High drama, very much.
Yes.
have
I love that
been
you're
in-
a drama queen, Naomi. I love that.
Oh God, it's terrible.
I
can't
had
believe
been
you stayed.
in plenty of like dramatic relationships before. Like my first couple had like very like BBC period drama.
Well, that's
BBQ.
kind of calm.
BBQ drama? What about the BBQ drama?
Exactly. You're used to BBC. I'm bringing you BBQ. And you were ready.
Did you calm down? Did you chill when he realized he was having none of it?
I realized it definitely did force me to break that cycle of playing those games because I knew those games were not going to work.
It wasn't. I had a therapist say to me, "You cannot break up with him because you don't like his pants," and also, but it was also like, this is not every man you've ever dated. This was somebody's little boy once who was scared of the dark. This guy's not out to get you. Give him the dignity of his own experience. He's like would skin his knee, and his mom would have to like kiss his boo boo. Like, this is not a monster. This is like this. He was just, at some point in time, he was some little boy. This is not like the devil trying to get you. And I had to, so we also like a 10 p.m. rule where it was like, okay, nothing gets less crazy after 10 p.m. So if you feel like you need to have this big chat, like just zip, no relationship chats after 10 p.m. Like nothing is less crazy. If it can't wait till morning, then go have a CBD candy, take a hot bath, and go to bed. Go watch some Netflix because that's when things start to get like irrational and like almost like the addiction of the conversation and needing to win. Like, no, you don't get me. Like, just call somebody else. Go go for a walk and call somebody else.
Right. That's very smart, though, because
Yeah.
10 p.m. seems early to me. And but I think you're right. I
Oh, I mean, by the way, I'm up to like 2:30. I'm a night owl. So like,
Yeah.
but if the chat starts at 10,
right.
it's not going to end at 10:15.
Well, right. Exactly. It's going to go till 2:30.
It's
What
going to go
was
till
it, Naomi?
2:30.
What was it for you? There was, because I can like imagine the like moment where like you were like, I'm calming down. I'm going to calm down. I'm not bringing this drama in anymore.
I don't know. I just
Did
knew
you just
it wasn't
not
gonna
trust
work.
him? Were you not trusting him? Was that why you were like, are you going to fuck me over?
Absolutely. Especially, I think, because, too, he was... Well, it's interesting. Andy said, I love you first. So in some ways, he was open. I remember, like, you gave me a key to your apartment early. Like, he did make the moves, right? Where I was like, oh, he
Andy.
likes me. But outside of those moments, he's a person where you, like... Every feeling and every thought I have, you gonna know. Andrew will like tell you later, like, that really upset me a week ago, right? And
Me
like
too.
that would
Me
actually
too.
spin me out because then I would be like, oh my God, you've been mad at me for a whole week and I didn't know, you know?
Right.
And that's obviously not what it was, but because he was just a little more interior and he kind of needs to do his own processing.
Yeah.
I was afraid. I was like, he secretly doesn't like me or he has a problem with me, but he's like too scared to get out of it. You know, that's what I was worried about. That I just assumed, I was like, oh, he can't hang with this. He can't hang with
Right.
this. I was like, this little petite Jewish boy from Pennsylvania, he can't hang with all this.
I've got a tall Jewish boy from Long Island.
Oh my God, OG, Long Island energy.
So you calmed down, Naomi, when you realized he was trusted. That was at about the year mark. You calmed down and you were like, okay, this guy's not gonna screw me over.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember when but like new things would trigger, right? Like I remember when you got into therapy for the first time, which would have been
Right.
2-3 years into our relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, now he's gonna break up with me because his therapist is
Right.
gonna be like, this bitch cray, you gotta get out.
Therapy
And I was
it's scary. You're like, what are you talking about with that? How'd it go today? Oh, that's interesting.
I know. I was very like, oh my God, this is it. And then of course, Andy later I realized he's like, I mostly talk about death. And it was
Yes.
like it wasn't even
Yes.
like I wasn't even the topic. Whereas in my own therapy
Yes.
sessions, he was so much of the topic.
Oh,
Fear of
yeah.
death, my ego. Why am I not a world historical character like Einstein? Can I deal with that? You know,
Yes.
my ego says that I should be someone that changes history.
Oh,
like
wow.
Einstein.
That's hard. That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
It
That's
is.
a
it
lot
is.
of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. I will say, yeah, life is an interesting journey right now. It is definitely like adjusting expectations. I certainly thought I would be on a book tour. You're like,
Yeah.
and yet I will say the magic of the pandemic. I've really enjoyed getting to Zoom and chat with like a lot of people that I always really know and like. But I feel like I'm like strengthening, like it's like almost like a this is your life of like fun people I know around Los Angeles. It's been a
Yeah.
real joy to like chat and get to know people and like it's been very cool. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's an interesting time.
Yeah.
Why don't we actually take a break? And when we come back, we'll answer some listener advice questions.
I love this.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Hey y'all, breaking into the show very quickly to just give you 3 pieces of information. If you would like to support the show, there are a couple different ways. One of them is our Patreon. Now, Naomi, I love doing this. We just get to like sit on the couch and like really dig in to our feelings.
We dig into our feelings. We dig into our lives. We're really mining our love for content.
Yeah.
If you're into that, you can go to patreon.com/couplestherapypod, and for $5, you get 2 bonus episodes a month and tons more bonus content. The other way you can help us out is buy a little merch. We've got awesome t-shirts, don't we, Andy?
Hey, look, you know me. You know, in my little indie rock heart, all I ever wanted was cool t-shirts. And we finally got them.
Now we got them.
We got them. We got the cool new design of the logo, and we've got Gotta Miss a Bitch t-shirts.
Yes, indeed. And now, if you want to help us out without spending a dime, you know what you can do? Rate the show, subscribe to the show, review the show. Honey, that don't cost no money. Take you 2 minutes. And it really does help us out.
Yeah, if you go to Apple Podcasts and do that, it's actually a huge help to subscribe to the show and rate and review it. So
yeah, and obviously review it positively.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
like I'm not asking for like serious feedback. So if you could just, like be supportive, that would be great.
Yeah. Yes, we have voids inside us.
Yeah.
Endless voids that need positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now let's fill that void by getting back to the show. And we're back with Arden Myrin. Getting into it, we'll be handling your scandal. I think you know all the pertinent information about Arden, and so now you know where she's coming from when we give you that hot feedback.
Love it.
Actually, I have a question. Is it when you have to do the same, tell the same anecdotes over and over again?
Yeah.
Right. You've written this book. You're like, oh, finally, I purged this stuff for me, and then you have to go and say this stuff over. Is it kind of like I would assume for like stand-ups that it's kind of just like doing your act in some way?
I mean, I'll tell you what. I actually been enjoying it a little bit in that I like whenever I've pitched a TV show or something, I panic pitching. And so getting to do it a couple times, because each chat is different, but like now I know what the entry point is. Like it is unusual to have your parents marry on a dare. It is, and that in the past when people would be like, tell me about your book, I would panic and be like, it's a book. It's, so like the other having done it a couple of times is I feel like I at least know how to like get into the conversation, and then different things spark with different people, and so it's never the same topic, but like it's actually good practice for me to see that I can kind of explain like the jumping off point, because I know I can write things, but then can I actually like in a short synopsis tell you what it is and why you should buy it, because I have panicked over the years in many a conference room.
Yep. I feel you. I feel you.
Panic, like leave my body. Elvis has left the building. When people are like, so you got a show for us? Like, I don't know.
6 friends. They live across from each other in a hall. New York.
You love Joey Tribbiani? You're going to love this. It's like, that has nothing to do with your show. I don't know. Just pure panic. Yeah.
Okay, we get DMs on Instagram. We get DMs on Twitter. We get Gmails, and of course, voicemails.
Very favorite.
I thought we would start with a voicemail. Take it away, Apple Music.
Hi, Andy and Naomi. My name is T. I'm a longtime fan of the show, first-time caller. I'm calling because a few days ago, I have a partner who's been dating for about 8 months, and I very much care about them, obviously. And we've been dating for 8 months, and recently I felt the need to tell them how I felt about them, which involved dropping the L word, which I really hate using, but I guess in this case it's necessary. And I know that like 8 months seems a little bit early, and against my better judgment, I went ahead and told them how I felt, and they responded with, "Aw, thanks." And I just want to know how you can recover from that, because while I still care about this person, after talking with them, everything's fine, obviously. I just feel dumb. I don't regret doing it, but I do feel stupid. Just let me know how the fuck I can recover from that. Thanks. Bye.
Ooh, by the way, I would also like to point out that in the Google transcription, of that, instead of "Aw, thanks," it said "Aw, Tom Hanks."
That actually was the right response of what he should have said. My husband said it to me first, and I wasn't ready yet. And I actually said, "Thank you. That makes me feel so good." I said that.
Wow.
So, because I didn't know how to respond yet, and I was a little more squirrely. I really liked him. I knew I wasn't going anywhere. But I was a little more like, I guess, a typical dude of like, don't run me in, you know, like, so, like, it was panic-inducing, but also, like, I liked hearing it, but I wasn't ready to say it yet, and we're happy, so, but I understand.
Did it cause problems immediate, like in the immediate, you know, when you were like, thanks?
I don't know what his insides felt like.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't his dream, but like, however he dealt with it on his own. I think as long as you don't deal with it person to person, like, I would do a little fake it till you make it. Keep showing up confident. Don't keep bringing it up, and like, do some walks around the block. Jog that golden retriever around the block. Self-soothe a little. Like, okay. Like, be your own, as if you're like in a boxing ring. You're massaging your shoulders in the corner of the ring in between rounds. Like, it's okay. He didn't go anywhere. He didn't break up. He's like, he's just not ready yet. That's what and it's okay to feel vulnerable. I would too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I don't understand. I hate the, not stigma's the wrong word, but I don't know, maybe it is stigma, like the pressure around the L word and just love. Because I'm the kind of person, like, maybe I'm a little hyperbolic in my language, honey. I am giving you poetry. I am giving you performance. But
yes, you're
but
giving
like,
it all, and I'm here for all of it.
But, like, I'm like, why can't you say you love someone? Like, why does that have to be? Because I remember having a boyfriend in college where I said I love you, and for him, he was like, he didn't feel ready for that. Like, where it was like, we lost our virginities to each other. Like, we were in, but it was like that word was not the word he wanted to use. And I remember it, I mean, I was not cool about it. I fucking kept bringing it up, but it was like drama where I just kind of felt like, how can you not, like, am I not good enough or something? And I remember at one point, I think he, like, for him, that word was to be reserved for his wife. Like, that's what he thought. Like, that word was a big
evangelical?
Word. No.
Right.
He already
That's
put his
so
dick in me.
Well, that doesn't stop them.
Well, I know. For his wife. But I was like, and I remember, I'm like, what? And it's like, some people have that kind of stigma. Because to me, when T says 8 months is a little early, I'm like, no, it's not.
That's what I thought. I'm very...
Like,
I'm affectionate, and I did not come from people that verbally say much, but, like, I think I'm much more like, what's the big deal? Like, okay.
When T is like, how can I recover? To me, recovery is an inside job because you didn't do anything wrong. Because it really means, like, part of recovering, so to speak, is saying, like, there was nothing shameful about what I did. It's not stupid to love someone or to express that love.
Right.
And also, the word may mean different things for different people, which is so annoying. And that's why language is a pain in the ass.
I think T is seeing it like they were like Kelsey Grammer falling off the stage.
Oh, I could watch that all day, every day. I could watch that into the orchestra. Oh my God, I could watch that again and again. I could watch that. That poor guy. Poor guy.
It's like, well, so I have to you have to like get back on stage and be like, oh, yeah. So you have to. It's not that you didn't fall off. Frasier didn't fall off the stage.
Frasier didn't fall off the stage. I would do a little fake it till you make it. If you act confident and just keep going, take it to your friends, take it to your whoever. If you have a therapist, just you could take your feelings, but like, if he didn't go anywhere, like. It's okay. You can self-soothe a little.
They're saying they said, "Aw, thanks," and they were like, and they said they talked about it. Like they had a conversation after too. So I'm like, okay, well then, it sounds like y'all are on the other side in terms of like it doesn't seem to have fractured the relationship.
Yeah,
you just feel a little embarrassed.
Yeah, that's okay. It's embarrassment is such a hard. I find embarrassment and disappointed. I don't know what to do with those feelings. I like when I'm embarrassed and I want to just hide. And when I'm disappointed, like there's certain emotions I don't quite know how to ride out. And so that's when I literally, sometimes you just need to literally go for a couple walks around the block and like call your best friends and just go like, ah, and then it's just eventually your brain will stop doing backflips. It's literally just a matter of time of just riding out the icky feeling. It will pass. It's okay. Take a bath. It's okay to hide under your blankets and just know that like the damage is not that great. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scream into a pillow.
Scream into a pillow, you said?
Scream into a pillow. Punch a pillow.
There it is.
Yes.
All right. Why don't we do one more? This comes to us anonymous from Instagram, and they wrote just in the middle of August.
I love it anonymous. I feel like when it's anonymous, it's juicy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, ooh, why can't you reveal yourself?
Before, some people are, even if it's not like I have a bunch of light bulbs stuck in my butt. I think emotionally they might have some light bulbs stuck in their butt.
Wow.
Do you think the Richard Gere hamster thing was real? Side note.
No.
You don't?
I don't.
Naomi,
I'm putting
do
it to
you?
rest here.
You don't.
Well, see, the thing is, I heard that rumor, right? But I don't know who was telling us that rumor. If it was a lover he once took, then maybe. But if it's just like some random person who started a Richard Gere rumor, then no.
It's an urban myth, so I don't know who started it. It's
Right.
a legend.
Then
Okay,
no,
great.
I don't
4chan.
think so.
I would say the predecessor to 4chan. Whoever.
The predecessor to 4chan created the Richard Gere gerbil.
Yeah, 1chan.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Back in the IRL times. Before I ask my question, here's a little bit of my background. My family is Colombian, and I'm a first-generation American girl from Paterson, New Jersey.
Okay, Patterson.
Born
Hey, girl.
and raised. I'm 33 and currently live in the Bay Area, California, for the past 9 years. Okay, so let's go. I had a baby a couple weeks before quarantine started in March. It's been really difficult for me since my family lives on the other side of the country and my husband's family lives too far away from us, about 4 hours with traffic.
Yeah.
My emotions have been in a roller coaster ride with everything going on, but here's the bit. But finding out that my husband is voting for Trump
Okay, well.
Ooh.
may have put me over the edge.
Okay, no.
Oh,
So again, this is this is back in
no.
August. Maybe something's changed.
So this is a month ago. Okay.
This is a month. So I add that like the fucker's behavior has gotten even worse. Maybe that's a breaking point for some people, but I don't know.
No. Anyway,
continue.
You keep going because this is crazy to me.
We have a 6-month-old daughter. I don't know about you, but I'd like her to have rights for her own body and self in the future. And even though I do not like the Democratic choice, I have no choice. Knowing this bit of info about my partner has turned me off.
Honey, it's turned me off too.
Yes.
I got turned off immediately. It was like, turned into a desert downtown in my undercarriage.
Yeah. Just acetate all over the genitals. Acetate. Sorry, I was going back to my AP Chem roots.
Yes.
acetate sucks all the water out of everything.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
I did
so
not know
much.
that.
It takes a WAP to a DAP.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to fucking finish this
All right, back to the question.
because I'm like, ugh.
We just started having sex again, but after knowing this, I've been avoiding it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Nadoy.
He knows I'm depressed with my uncle dying of COVID back in New Jersey, and I couldn't go to his 25-minute funeral. This is back in May when it was hitting my hometown hard. And Black Lives Matter has me spiraling as well since I grew up in a diverse community. Where I live is a very white community, and I'm feeling homesick and alone. So my question is, how do I move past this? I do have to point out that my husband is a great provider for me and my child, and he truly is a sensitive, caring man. So you can see Arden is giving it a big thumbs down in the window. So you can see from my end how surprised I was to find out all of a sudden his changed views, because I do have to point out that he hated Trump back in January. So what the hell happened? What does he know that I don't know? Brainworms? I can only assume that
He done been on some fucking QAnons. Okay, how you move past it? You don't move past it because this is what I'm gonna call. This is why I'm gonna tell you why. Because that's this level of, oh God, craven insanity.
Ooh, love it.
Is that maybe it? This is not the person you signed up for. It's like different if you knew this about him and this was something you knew going into this relationship. If you're saying this is now a switch, no. You got to fucking handle this shit, nip it in the bud. When you say, what should I do? What does he know that I don't know? Ask him those questions.
Girl, the only Switch you need is from Nintendo. Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that.
Oh yeah, bring kindness in. Bring kindness into this.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you that that the game got switched. That you thought you were with this person who had the same views as you, and that they really thought, like this is new information that. Mm-hmm. And, like, it sucks when you get sideswiped. It sounds like it was out of the blue. You're super vulnerable. You just had this baby. And I'm sorry that you have to deal with this because it didn't sound like this isn't what you signed up for. So I just want to start out with, I'm sorry that you didn't pick this and that it's like musical chairs and the music changed and the dance changed. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, but past that, like, I would get clarity. Look, I'm not trying to break up a house. This is a bit, it's like a family. Like, so I'm not lightly telling anybody. It's none of my business. But maybe I do believe the pandemic is really hard. Like, I think people are a little extra, and maybe like are feeling things. There's like people are like a little. I know people in my sphere that are normally very stable are like getting a little cray. Like it affects everybody differently, and I think people feel like powerless and afraid, and the world is on fire, and like it's literally a fucking hellscape out there right now. It's a garbage fire. So I would get clarity of like, was this a passing glitch of this person who's terrified of like these outside events, and has he seen the light? And if it hasn't, that's information that you may not be able to deal with, and that's up to you. That's your call. But like for me, that would be devastating. I don't think I could deal with that.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with that.
To me, that's something. Look, there is something particular. We don't like to talk about politics on the show because we try to give people a respite. But there's something very like identifying with Captain Shitbag is something. There's something particularly beyond. I can understand not being inspired by the Democratic choices, right?
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
The Shitbag didn't come out of nowhere,
right?
And I would say like the last 40 years of kind of like betrayals of a lot of people by the Dems.
Government in general, right.
But sure. But I mean, like, the Republicans are always going to.
Right. But people, right.
But I'm saying, like, I think that sets people up to, like, be like, well, no choice is good. And, and so if no choice is good, I'm going to go with the guy who was on TV. Right. I'm going to go with the dude who was on NBC for 10 years, Joey Tribbiani. Like, I'm going to.
I love Joey Tribbiani.
Like, you love Joey Tribbiani.
Everybody loves Joey. You tell me you don't love Matt LeBlanc? Joey Tribbiani's the best.
2 seasons, 2 extra seasons for Joey. Joey got 2 extra.
He wore the pregnancy pants when he ate the turkey.
He's there. He's there with Phoebe helping her along.
He's Phoebe. He's Joey Tribbiani. He's got his acting career going. We love him.
He's hanging out. So I'm just trying to say, like, there is, like, I can understand why someone might start to, like, be attracted to that. But, like, it's so morally repugnant. There is something making the choice to be with Shitbag is so morally repugnant that I don't know how, and especially, like, when someone changes their mind already, like, you have children with them. It feels like such a base betrayal to me.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I think it's about, but I would say this is what you do, right? And I don't know if you've done it. And this is the thing. You just had a fucking baby. We in a goddamn pandemic. The Bay Area been on fire, and you couldn't even leave the house for a couple weeks.
Thank you.
So, girl, you struggling.
It's like black hole sun. You look outside, it's Myrin, and you see fucking blood red ash falling. Like, it's not. Things are tough.
Right.
You're legit having a hard year, for real.
So like, but the thing is, I think you need to do before November 3rd is have a conversation with him in a moment where you are fortified. Is the baby down for a nap? As Arden said a bunch of times, walk around the block, get your head right, and have a conversation where I think the best way to do it is ask him questions. Yeah. When you're saying he wasn't into him, because especially given everything that's gone gone on with COVID. I'm just very surprised too that someone would get on his team now. So it would be a question too of like, hey, can you explain to me what happened? And can you explain to me what it is that made you feel this way? And also, I would also say too, you can also talk about it. As you said, you're like, I just had a daughter and I want her to have rights. That's a conversation you have with your child's father. And I think you can definitely put it in those terms. You know, it's not, again, obviously we done seen it don't work to call him a fucking idiot or call him repugnant, whatever. Ask him these questions and try to get these answers, and then just like literally for everything go, okay, now ask him next. Okay, now why? Now where did you read? What did you see? You know what I mean? And it, you know, and it might be
it could strengthen you guys.
You just got to have the conversation. You got to ask. Yes. And but you got to do it when you like kind of have it in you.
And I agree with you. You have to have had a nap beforehand or something. I would also say when I hear, look, the reality is Bay Area, she pricey. Like, I understand life is expensive. Life is expensive everywhere. Like, it is no joke just to pay your freaking rent, pay your electric bill. Like, I'm not trying to belittle, but when you've been with somebody for a little while, like, you would have rights. You don't you might have more options financially. Like, if you do choose, like, you know, there would be, if it's something that really crosses your soul, like, there are ways, you know, like, just, you wouldn't be out on the street, I don't think. I'm not trying to, like, meddle in your business, but, like.
Right. Well,
but I saw this on Big Little Lies, call every good divorce lawyer in the area. And that way. Yeah, and that was the Marriage Story, too. You have to call first. You have to call first. You call first, and then he can't consult. You call first, so then he can't get, because you got to call the good one. Yes, thank you, David E. Kelly. And
Noah Baumbach.
Well, but because also she's saying here she's Colombian, grew up in Jersey. Right. She doesn't say what his race is or his background.
Right.
You know, and that also kind of matters to me because that's also going to be part of kind of, I think, for people, the urgency or the ability to emotionally connect with some of this stuff. Right. You know, if you feel like you are in a community that is or is not affected by this man's choices. Because you already don't have a uterus, so you don't give a fuck. Right. And then the question is, because, you know, I keep saying to folks, it's like, babe, I'm not trying to be in a race wars, okay? I'm not trying to live an internment camp life. Right. This shit matters. Like, I will be affected.
Yes.
Okay? They gonna find my black ass, look up some YouTubes with me talking about white women, and I'm gonna be on the first damn bus.
Yes.
And it's like, that matters. And then there are other people for whom it's like, you know, some people are like, they're being dramatic. It's not going to be so bad.
No.
9 times out of 10, that comes from someone who would not be immediately affected.
Of course. Absolutely. Of course. Yeah, it's easy, you know, absolutely. Absolutely. That, you know, I'm a big believer. I think as women, our body, we have good instincts, but we're taught not to listen. Like, your body, our bodies know what feels right and cool, who we want to be with, what feels like, and like, you know, if this is something, like, if this guy doesn't get it, and your body literally is rejecting that, and you're like, I can't, just trust you. You are the only person who can answer for yourself if you stay or you go. Educate yourself. There's no hurry. You don't need to do it today. Get the facts. And, like, you're the one that can answer it for you. But, like, just trust that, like, you're allowed to take care of yourself.
And, again, you can sometimes change. I had a boyfriend who did not believe he was anti-choice. And I find this out, of course, we're already in the relationship.
Right.
And that was a lot of fucking conversations. And finally I was able, it was so interesting, the simplest fucking thing. Oh yeah. And then here's the best part. I told you about his ass where he was like, cause he was a white guy. And I remember him at one point, I was like, oh, so you want to have a baby with me? We've been dating 4 fucking months, you know, whatever. And he's like, I've thought about, you know, if you got pregnant, you know, and if we had a baby, you know, the baby wouldn't look like me. And I thought about whether I would love it the same. Jesus and I decided that I would. And I was like, you fucking bitch.
Did you dump him right then? Did you dump him right then and there?
Arden, I didn't have the self-esteem.
Trust me, I paid rent on people that, I paid the rent on people that, like, were cheating on me, and I knew it.
Oh God. But I said to him, but he ended up I go, so what you're saying is that I was like, if I get pregnant, you're telling me I would have to have that baby, but there's nothing that would force you to be a father.
Yes.
You can literally walk outside to get cigarettes and never come back. You think that's fair?
Yes.
And he literally, that's what got him. He was like, you're right.
Wow.
If I don't have to be a father, then you shouldn't have to be a mother.
Wow.
And that's what got him. That's what got him to fucking the simplest idea, which I was like, this was literally kind of at the end of all my arguing. You know what I mean? And I was like,
yeah.
It was like, and I was like, that was the most obvious shit
yeah.
of all of it. But
yeah.
that's what it get. And maybe also coming from the person where I was like, oh, you ain't touching me. You ain't touching me.
Yes.
That's also what I said to him. You know, and I'm saying that because this person, Anonymous, is saying how, like, she hasn't wanted to have sex with him. It hasn't wanted to, it's like, and it's like, yeah, you get to make that fucking choice.
That's right.
You know, and like when somebody is doing some shit that you don't sit right with,
yeah.
you ain't got to do a damn thing. It's like literally the world is burning.
Yeah.
People are dying. They want to roll back Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
You don't get to touch my vagina. That's just a rule.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
It's, you know, you're not crazy. You're not crazy.
You're not.
And when
I'm with Naomi.
That's
on
what I
this
think
one.
we're saying.
You're
We're
not
sorry,
crazy.
and you're not crazy.
Right.
You're sorry,
Yes.
and you don't need to twist your brain to make this okay. It may just not be okay.
Yeah.
And you guys, you got to talk it out
yeah.
before you walk it out.
I like that. I like that suggestion. I think that, okay, there's like Arden, you were saying, in quarantine, so much of your energy is like is kind of going to like maintaining you and like making you like not like just like sit in despair the whole time.
Yeah.
That like I find it eroding all this other kind of stuff. Like I just realized this in the last week. I'm like, I gotta really like stop. I gotta really dedicate some more energy to just like being Naomi and I were like kind of snippy last week with each other, and I realized it's like, because all my energy is going towards not making me feel like I should just hide under the bed and cry all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, if that making like your immediate life shitty, then you got to dedicate some more energy. But because everyone is on that edge, I think they're more susceptible to like, I'm in my head, her husband is like a QAnon freak, right?
Yeah.
And I think it depends on how far gone this guy is. If he's just like, well, I like tax breaks, I think you can maybe like pull him back from the edge. If he's like, well, I'm fighting the fucking pedo cannibals, then you're like,
Right, and we don't know where he's at with that, because definitely when you say he was not into Trump in January, and then you fast forward to 6 months in the fucking house as your city burns, yeah, you might have done some internet searches. You know what I mean? Like,
people are feeling wild and helpless and pissed and caged and not feeling. I think a lot of people are not feeling happy. They're not feeling good about themselves, and they're afraid and they're irritated, and they want to just go be and it's also not the flirtiest time, and also having a new baby is not the flirtiest time, and like it's like everybody is extra, and like if you've got any little devils in your brain, they're super loud. It's just your normal routine is at bay, you know. So you got to first things first, do what you got to do so you feel okay day to day. You don't need to cut and run right this second, but you can assess the situation, and if you choose, you are allowed to leave. If it's not good enough for you, there are other people out there. You could be like it's not a life sentence. It sucks when things change because it sounds like it's not what you signed up for, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, read Lysistrata, sis.
We really love you, Anonymous. You have to keep us posted on this. We want to know like where you're at and what you're feeling. Certainly before November 3rd, honey. I need to know what went down in the households.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah, and you don't need to do it right this second. You can take your time, gather your info, and then you'll know. You'll know when you know.
Yeah,
it's
true.
Arden, thank you for taking this journey.
Thank you so much for
What
talking
a
with us
journey!
and answering. Little Miss Little Compton.
Little Miss Little Compton. It comes out. I don't know when will this drop.
Couple weeks.
It is freshly out.
Freshly
with
out.
Miss
Okay, you
Strauss.
guys, Little
It's
Miss
fresh.
Little Compton, you can get it wherever books are sold. Go find it online from a local indie bookseller. It's a really fun and funny read.
It's
There's
a
lot
really
of
fun
heart.
read. It's really funny. I'm telling you, as someone who's in the middle of it, it's fun. It feels good. I like getting out of my brain and hearing about somebody's crazy ass life.
Yeah, I
and
think-
it's really fun.
I think it's hopeful. I think it's like you can grow up with a quirky family and still end up with a happy life. Like you can have a sort of tough dad and still thrive. And I think people. It's a fast read too. It's not a super thinky. You can get
It's
through
good.
it with
I'm
pandemic
very into
brain.
it.
Thank
You're
you.
giving me an Augustin Burroughs energy, but like with more hope and less addiction.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yes. It's a little running with scissors.
Yeah,
It's
it's a little
like
running with scissors.
It's a little running with scissors. It's a little Sedaris-y family
Yeah.
house cat. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Funning with scissors.
It's funny. It's funny with scissors, craft scissors
Yes.
that are funny with craft scissors.
That's a very Sedaris thing, too. I was trying to look it up on my phone. I think bookstore.org, I think it is. It's like an indie. It gives money to whatever the local indie bookstores are when you
Great.
order books from them.
Oh,
It's like an
Love it.
alternate. I
Little
think
Miss
it's called
Little
bookstore.org.
Compton.
Yeah.
Little
Love
Miss
it.
Little Compton
So get
is
it
the
from
jam
there.
and the jump off.
Thanks
Yes.
again, Arden.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Thank you for having me. I so enjoy both of you, and like what a wonderful way to spend my afternoon. I was really looking forward to this, and it did not
Me
disappoint.
Yay!
you
I
too.
am rooting
You.
for both of you. I am rooting for both of you. I am rooting for both of you. I am rooting for both of you.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Top